The wind drove her to her knees before she could cry out. Snow filled her mouth, burned her lungs, and 3 young boys clung to her from behind, their shaking breaths breaking apart in the cold. She could stop and let all 4 of them freeze where they stood, or pull them forward toward a weak lantern flickering ahead, held by a man she had never met and might never trust. She chose movement. She chose risk. Every step tore at skin, breath, and belief, but she did not let go. When the light finally reached the boys' faces, the storm did not end. It only changed shape. Because some rescues don't just test survival, they test the conscience of an entire town. If you believe survival should never require permission, subscribe, watch till the end, and tell me which city you're watching from in the comments. The wind had hands. It shoved and slapped and dragged, and the snow came sideways, hard enough to sting through wool. Ada bent into it, boots skidding, rope burning her palms as she hauled the sled. The board bucked over a drift, and the smallest body slid off. A bell rang, thin, panicked, then vanished under the roar. She went down on one knee, breath tearing out of her chest. Fingers found a sleeve, then bone. Eli! The name was all she had left. She pulled him up, tucked him in against her coat, and the bell rang again, steadier now, a sound like someone knocking from far away. The wind laughed and closed the distance. She could feel the cold climbing. It crept the way water does, patient, rising. Another step would take strength she didn't have. Staying would take everything else. Don't let go. She tied the scarf tighter, knotting it wrist to wrist, and leaned forward again. The sled scraped, snow packed into her mouth. She tasted iron and didn't know whose blood it was. A shadow moved in the white. Or maybe the white learned how to lie. "Ma," Eli said, small and certain, and pointed. "Light." She followed his finger and saw nothing. Then she saw it. A blink of gold, swallowed, then blinking again. Too steady to be a star, too warm to be a trick. Her first thought was of stories meant to keep children quiet. Her second was worse, that the light was real and too far. She angled toward it anyway. Choice is a luxury. She'd spent hers earlier. The drift ahead collapsed and she stumbled, catching herself with a cry she bit in half. The bell rang once, sharp. The light went out. She stopped. Snow filled the space where sound should be. She counted breaths. 1, 2. On 3. The light came back, lower now, closer. A man's shape stood against it, broad shoulders bent to the wind, an arm raised to shield the flame. He did not wave. He waited, as if waiting were work. She set herself between him and the child, without thinking, rope pulled tight. "We'll come slow," she said, and hated how small her voice sounded. The man nodded once. He didn't say ma'am. He didn't say anything. He turned and moved, and the light moved with him. They followed because following was all that remained. The door was a slab of wood rimmed with ice. It didn't open so much as surrender. Heat struck her face and she staggered, vision swimming. The man closed the door and the wind slammed it from the other side, angry to be shut out. He set the lantern down low and crouched, counting, eyes moving over hands and faces. He pulled a blanket from a peg and wrapped Eli first. That decided her. "Easy," he said to the child. "One word, plain." He moved fast without hurry, a practiced kind of care. He laid Eli near the stove, not too close, and pressed a cup into Ada's hands. Warmth seeped through clay. She drank and burned and drank again. She kept her back to the wall. She watched his hands. They were scarred, steady. He fed the stove and hung the lantern in the window, its yellow eye blinking into the storm like a promise. He checked fingers, rubbed, stopped when they pinked. He did not ask questions. "Name," he said at last, not looking at her. "Ada." She didn't offer more. He didn't ask. He took the sled, leaned it by the door, shook snow free. The bell rang once and Eli smiled without waking. The heat made her head light. She slid down and sat, boots still on, counting the cracks in the floor. The man poured water, added a pinch of something, waited. He handed the cup to her again and pointed to the child. She fed him small sips, one, then another. The bell went quiet. Outside, the wind found the window and threw itself at the glass. The lantern flickered. Ada reached for it before she could stop herself. "Leave it," the man said. "It's fine." She did. The light steadied. He watched it like a sailor watches stars, trusting what he knows. She slept sitting up, chin on chest, waking to the stove ticking and the man's boots moving. He mended something by lamplight, needle flashing, thread drawn through with a sound like breath. Eli's chest rose and fell. The bell rested in his palm, a small, bright thing against the dark. "Please." She woke again when the wind shifted. The lantern was still in the window. Snow piled high against the door. The man stood there, listening to the storm as if it were a language. He nodded to himself once. "Not yet," he said. She nodded back, because nodding was easier than asking how long. He fed the stove and set bread to warm. The smell made her dizzy. She tore it into pieces and fed Eli, then herself, then him again. The man ate last, standing, eyes on the door. He poured coffee and didn't offer it. She didn't ask. When the light outside thinned from black to gray, he opened the door a crack and the cold reached in, greedy. He closed it again and set a shovel by the wall. "Cole," he said finally, like he was paying a debt. He offered his name and nothing else. "Ada," she said again, because names matter when the world forgets you. The storm eased in fits. The wind dropped, then came back with a new angle, sharper. Cole tested the door and shook his head. Ada checked fingers again, checked breath. Eli stirred and frowned, then reached for her sleeve. She held his hand until the frown smoothed out. The lantern burned low. Cole trimmed the wick with care. He set it back in the window. Ada watched the flame and thought of a church she hadn't seen in years, of a candle set for the dead on Christmas Eve. The thought hurt and warmed at the same time. She crossed herself without thinking. It was small. It counted. "Storm'll lie," Cole said. "Then it'll tell the truth." "When?" She hated how the question scraped. "Soon enough." The truth came as sound first, a crack like a tree breaking far away. Snow sloughed off the roof in a long sigh. Cole opened the door and light poured in, thin but honest. The world had edges again. He stepped out and tested the ground, boots sinking, pulling free. He came back in and nodded. "We go while it's quiet." Ada gathered what little they had. The bell went back around Eli's wrist. Cole took the sled, lashed it better, checked the knot she'd tied and retied it without comment. He lifted the lantern and held it low, so the flame cut the ground ahead like a blade. They moved into a world scraped clean. The path was there if you knew how to look. Wind sculpted ridges, the way trees leaned. Ada followed the light and put her feet where Cole put his. The quiet was worse than the storm. It let thoughts in. Don't fail now. The town came up from the white like a bruise. Dark shapes, fences half buried, a steeple pointing nowhere. Cole slowed. He set the lantern down once to tighten a strap, and the light guttered. Ada's heart climbed into her throat. He lifted it again. Easy, he said, and the word held. At the edge of the first fence, voices rose. Someone laughed. Someone else said a name she didn't catch. Cole stopped and listened, face gone still. He lowered the lantern a notch, as if light itself needed manners. You all right? He asked, not looking at her. She was shaking. We're here, she said, because saying it made it more true. He nodded once. Stay close. They stepped out of the white and into eyes. The light swung, caught on faces, then dropped. The bell rang, a clear, small sound in the cold morning. Ada felt the weight of it settle, the kind that doesn't lift when the storm does. The lantern burned on. The light drew eyes the way blood draws flies. Ada felt it before she saw it. The slight lean of bodies, the pause in voices. Cole set the lantern down just inside the fence line, careful not to spill it into faces. The bell on Eli's wrist rang once, bright, and the sound made a few people smile and a few others frown. Smiles didn't mean welcome. They meant interest. Morning, someone said. It wasn't friendly. It was an inventory. Cole answered with a nod and moved again, keeping the lantern low, guiding them past a gate half buried in snow. Ada followed, counting steps, keeping Eli's hand warm inside her sleeve. She felt the quiet behind her, the kind that remembers you. They reached a small building with a sign nailed crooked above the door. The door opened before they knocked. A man with a badge stood there, hat brim low, hands clean. He looked at the lantern first, then he looked at Ada. Rough night, he said, like a verdict. Ada nodded. We were caught out. People get caught out, he said. His eyes flicked to Eli's bell, to the sled marks, to Cole's coat. Names? Cole didn't move. Ada spoke. Ada. She kept her voice even. This is my boy. The man smiled, the way you smile at a child when you're already bored. And you, he said to Cole, without looking at him. Cole. The badge dipped and rose again. Sheriff, he said, as if the word explained the rest. He stepped aside. Come in. Warm yourselves. Warmth was a trap she couldn't refuse. Inside smelled of paper and old coffee. Ada sat Eli on the bench and rubbed his hands until they pinked. The sheriff watched without blinking. You came from out there, he said. In that. Yes. With him. Cole leaned against the wall, arms loose, eyes on the window. I found them, he said. Found, the sheriff repeated. In a storm. Yes. The sheriff smiled again. He took out a book and licked his thumb, flipped pages. We keep track, he said. Winter's long. Ada felt the hook before it set. She reached for her coat pocket and stopped. We didn't come for charity. The sheriff's pen paused. That's good, he said. Charity complicates things. Eli shifted and the bell rang. A clean sound in a room that had forgotten clean. The sheriff looked at it. Pretty, he said. Christmas, is it? Ada nodded, surprised by the catch in her throat. She had meant to light a candle. She had meant to sing. She had meant a lot of things. The sheriff closed the book. You'll want to get home, he said. Where's home? Ada gave the name of a place that used to answer to her. The sheriff's smile thinned. That's so. Cole's eyes moved once, quick. Ada saw it and her stomach tightened. Outside, someone laughed again. Ada stood. Thank you, she said. We'll be on our way. The sheriff didn't move. One more thing, he said. Storm nights make for stories. Folks worry. I'll have to ask you to come back later. Clear a few things. What things? Ada asked. Timing, he said. Company. His eyes slid to Cole. Property. The word landed hard. Not again. Cole pushed off the wall. They're done, he said. They're going. The sheriff lifted a hand. Easy, he said, and the word wasn't the same as Cole's. No one's stopping anyone. Just asking. Asking had teeth. Ada felt them on her skin. She nodded once. Later, she said. When he's warm. The sheriff stepped aside then, like a gentleman. Later. Outside, the town had found its breath. Ada felt it on her neck. Cole picked up the lantern and turned it down, as if light could be rude. They went to the place Ada named. The door wore a strip of lead across it, bright against the weathered wood. A paper flapped there, official and cruel. Ada stopped. Eli tugged her hand. Ma? She didn't answer. She read the paper twice, then once more for the part she wanted to be wrong. The bell rang, impatient. Cole read it over her shoulder. He said nothing. He took the lantern and set it on the ground, then tried the door. It didn't move. We can, he began. No, Ada said. The word cut. She swallowed. Not like this. The cold came back, polite and persistent. Cole looked down the street, then back at her. You can stay, he said, like a fact. For the night. The word stay made her chest ache. She shook her head. People will talk. They already are. She glanced around. Windows watched. Someone closed a curtain too late. Just the night, Cole said. He lifted the lantern again, and the light felt heavier now, as if it carried names. She nodded. Choice again, and again not a choice. His place stood at the edge where the town pretended it didn't end. The door opened, and the heat reached out. Cole set the lantern in the window out of habit, then paused, thinking, and moved it a hand's width lower. Inside, Ada fed Eli soup with careful spoons. He ate and slept, bell quiet. Cole took a blanket and laid it near the stove, not too close. He left space between them like a promise kept. Thank you, Ada said, because silence needed a word. He nodded. Storm lies, he said. Town does too. She laughed once, a sound that surprised them both. It died quickly. "We'll go in the morning." He didn't answer. He mended something by lamplight. The needle flashed. The sound of thread through cloth steadied her. "I'm so tired." She woke to voices outside. Low, curious. She sat up, heart pounding. Cole was already there, listening. The lantern burned in the window. A woman's voice said, "I saw them." Another said, "With him." A man laughed. "Figures." Cole didn't move. He let the voices pass like weather. When they were gone, he fed the stove. "They'll come," Ada said. "Yes." "When?" "Soon enough." She stood and pulled on her coat. "I should go." "Not yet." The bell rang. Eli stirred and reached for her. She held him and felt the truth of it settle. Leaving now would look like running. Staying would look like something worse. Morning came thin and cold. Cole walked them back toward the sheriff's building. The lantern stayed in his hand this time, not in the window. Ada watched it, memorizing the way the flame leaned. Inside, the sheriff waited. He had a paper ready. "Sign," he said. "Temporary, just to get you through." Ada read it. Her name lay there like bait. "This says—" "It says help," the sheriff said. "Food, medicine." His eyes flicked to Eli. "Winter." Cole took a step forward. Ada lifted a hand. "No," she said, to him and herself. She folded the paper once. "I'll come back," she said, "when I can read it again." The sheriff smiled. "Suit yourself." Outside, the town had decided something. Ada felt it in the way people stood, in the way they didn't. Cole set the lantern down and turned it so the light fell on the ground between them, not on faces. "Walk," he said. They did. At the fence line, Ada stopped. She looked at the light, at the bell, at the town. Christmas bells rang somewhere far off, a thin song swallowed by air. "If we go," she said, they'll say it anyway." She nodded. She took a breath that hurt. "Then stay close." The lantern burned on. The paper waited where he'd left it, clean and patient on the counter. Ada stood over it with her coat still on, snow melting in a dark crescent at her boots. Cole didn't touch it. He set the lantern down low, so the flame cut the tabletop and left the faces in shadow. "Read it," he said. She did. Slow. Once for the words, again for the spaces between them. The bell rang softly as Eli shifted, half asleep, cheek pressed to her hip. "It gives," she said, "and it takes. That's how they're written." Her finger traced a line, stopped. "This line." Cole leaned in, close enough that she could feel his breath warm the cold on her knuckles. "That's the bite." She folded the paper, then unfolded it, then folded it again, smaller this time. Outside, boots scraped past the door. Voices moved on. The town breathed. "I won't," she said. "Then they will." The truth had weight. It sat between them like a third person. They went out with the morning, lanterns swinging. The street watched. A woman at a window pretended to dust. A man leaned too long on a fence. The bell rang once, bright as a nail tapped against glass. At the store, the owner looked at Ada's hands before her face. "Morning," she said. Not kind, not cruel. Inventory again. Ada set the folded paper down. I need medicine. For the boy? Yes. The owner's eyes slid to the lantern, then to Cole, then back. Credits tight. Ada opened her coat and showed the inside pocket empty. I can write, she said. I can keep accounts. I can pay. The owner smiled thin. We'll see. They waited. The bell ticked time. Somewhere a door slammed. The owner came back with a bottle, small and precious. She set it down and didn't let go. You sign, she said, nodding at the paper. Ada closed her fingers over the glass instead. Later. The owner's smile fell away. Suit yourself. Outside, the wind found them again, polite and cold. Cole took the bottle when Ada's hands shook too much. He tucked it away. They'll tighten, he said. I know. They reached the edge where the town pretended it didn't end. Cole's place waited, smoke thin and honest. He set the lantern in the window, then paused, thinking, and moved it down again. Inside, Ada dosed Eli carefully. He swallowed and slept, bell quiet. The stove ticked. Cole fed it and stood, listening to the walls. They'll come, Ada said. Yes. When? Soon enough. She laughed without humor. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. The knock came softer than she expected. 2 taps, polite. The sound traveled straight through her. Cole didn't reach for the door. He lifted the lantern and turned it so the light fell on the floor between them, a bright square. Stay back, he said. Ada moved anyway, putting herself between him and the door. She opened it. The sheriff filled the frame, hat brim low, smile set. He smelled of cold and tobacco. He looked past her into the room, counting. Afternoon, he said. Cold day. Every day, Ada said. He held out the paper again, fresh this time. We can make it easier. For who? She asked. For everyone, he said. His eyes flicked to the stove, to the blankets, to the lantern. Town likes order. Cole stepped into the light. They're not signing. The sheriff sighed like a man burdened by reason. You're not helping. Cole's jaw tightened. He didn't speak. Ada took the paper. She didn't read it. She tore it cleanly in half. The sound was loud in the small room. The sheriff's smile went brittle. That's a mistake. Maybe, Ada said. But it's mine. The sheriff looked at Eli then, sleeping, bell in his fist. Winter's long, he said again. Accidents happen. The word accidents fell heavy. Don't blink. Cole moved then, just enough to be seen. Leave. The sheriff stepped back, hands up, still smiling. Later, he said, and the word carried promise like a threat. When the door closed, the cold rushed in and then out. Ada leaned against it, knees weak. Cole set the lantern back in the window. They'll squeeze, he said, slow. Where? Food, medicine, work. Ada nodded. Then we don't bend. She didn't say how tired she was. She didn't say how much it hurt. They made a plan without calling it one. Cole went out with the light at dusk, walking the edge roads where men got lost and found again. Ada stayed in, boiling water, cleaning, writing numbers in her head to keep from counting fear. The bell rang when Eli woke, rang when he slept. She prayed without words, hands busy. Somewhere a church bell rang once, far off, a reminder that a night had a name. The squeeze came quick. At the store, the owner shook her head. At the mill, the foreman laughed. At the church door, the old man hesitated, then closed it gently. "Tomorrow," he said. Tomorrow was a rope pulled tight. Cole came back late, snow on his shoulders, eyes dark. "They're watching," he said. "I know. They'll try another way." Ada poured coffee and didn't drink it. "Which way?" He didn't answer. He watched the window. The knock came again, harder this time. Cole opened the door before Ada could move. A man stood there, young and mean, hands loose at his sides. He smiled like he'd learned it wrong. "Message," he said. "Say it," Cole said. "Boy's knife," the man said. "School. Teacher found it." Ada's heart jumped into her throat. "It's a tool," she said. "For rope." "Dangerous," the man said. "Sheriff says—" Cole's hand twitched. He stilled it. "Where?" "Office." Ada grabbed her coat. Cole caught her elbow. "I'll go." "No," she said. "I will." They walked with the lantern low. The street opened its eyes again. The office door stood open. Inside, the sheriff waited with the knife on the desk, small and innocent and sharp. "Children," he said softly, "need guidance." Ada picked up the knife and turned it in her hands. "So do towns." The sheriff's smile returned. "Sign," he said. "No," he sighed. "Then I'll keep it." "You can't." "I can." Ada set the knife down. "Then you keep it," she said. "And you keep this." She took out her notebook and set it beside the blade. The pages were filled, neat and careful. The sheriff blinked. "What's that?" "My account," she said. "Times, temperatures, names." Cole felt the room shift. He saw it in the sheriff's eyes. "That's not necessary," the sheriff said. "Neither is stealing," Ada said. Silence stretched. The lantern hummed. The sheriff pushed the knife back across the desk. "Take your things," he said. "Go." Ada didn't move. "We will," she said, "when we're ready." Outside, the bell rang, clear and bright. The sound carried. Heads turned. Cole lifted the lantern and held it steady. The light didn't flinch. "Stay close." They walked back through the watching, the light between them like a line you could cross or not. Snow began again, light as ash. Christmas bells rang once more, nearer this time, and Ada felt something loosen in her chest, just enough to breathe. The paper lay torn on the desk behind them, teeth dulled. The night had learned a new shape. Snow fell like it had changed its mind. Soft, indecisive, the kind that hid what it meant to do. Ada felt the town listening even when it slept. She set the lantern lower in the window, then lower again, until the light kissed the sill and stayed there, polite. Cole watched the street through a slit in the curtain, breath steady. Eli slept with the bell curled in his fist, a small anchor in the dark. The knock did not come that night. That was worse. At dawn, a line of footprints cut the fresh snow and stopped at the door, then turned away. Ada traced them with her eyes until they blurred. She put water on and didn't let it boil too fast. She dosed Eli and counted his breaths. The bell rang once, then rested. Cole went out early. He came back with nothing but cold on his coat. "They're spreading it," he said. "Slow." "Spreading what?" Ada asked. He shrugged. "Enough." She nodded. Enough was always enough. She took the notebook from her pocket and wrote the morning down. Wind, temperature, the way the snow softened sound. Writing kept the edges sharp. Outside, the church bell rang for morning prayer. One clean note. She touched her forehead without thinking. It wasn't a promise. It was habit. Habit kept you alive. The squeeze took shape. At the store, the owner slid goods back on the shelf when Ada reached for them. At the well, a woman drew water and didn't meet her eyes. At the mill, the foreman shook his head before she spoke. Everywhere, the same word, dressed different, later. Ada felt it in her calves when she walked, the way the ground pulled. She kept her back straight. She kept Eli's hand warm inside her sleeve. The bell rang once at the well, and a boy laughed. The laugh followed them home. "Ma," Eli said, quiet, "why don't they like us?" Ada didn't answer. She set the lantern down and fed the stove. She handed him bread. He ate. He watched her like he was learning a rule. Cole came back at dusk with a sack slung over his shoulder. "Rabbit," he said. "Not much. It's something." "It is." They ate slow. The bell stayed quiet. The lantern burned steady. Outside, the snow thickened. Inside, the air grew thin with waiting. The message came on paper, pushed under the door. Ada found it with her boot. She read it once, then again. The words were careful, official. They said there would be a meeting, for order, for safety. They named the night and the place. They named her without naming her. "They want a room," Cole said. "They want a crowd." "Yes." She folded the paper. "We go." He watched her. "We don't have to." "We do." The night of the meeting came cold and clear. Stars cut the sky like glass. Ada dressed Eli in layers and tied the bell under his coat. She took the notebook. Cole lifted the lantern and held it low. They walked. The room filled as they did. Ada felt eyes slide and stop. The sheriff sat high, clean hands folded. The old man from the church sat to one side, fingers worrying his collar. The store owner stood near the back, arms crossed. The lantern light didn't reach faces. It reached the floor. "Order," the sheriff said, and the word worked. "We're here to keep folks safe." Ada stepped forward before Cole could. The floor creaked. "From what?" she asked. The sheriff smiled. "From trouble." "Name it," she said. He glanced at Eli. "Children with knives." Ada felt heat rise. She kept her voice flat. "A rope knife." "Dangerous," the sheriff said. "So is winter." A murmur moved. Cole lifted the lantern an inch. The light climbed. "People talk," the sheriff said. "They worry." "About what?" Ada said. "About how you came," he said. "Who you came with." Cole shifted. The lantern swayed. Ada steadied it with her hand. She felt the heat, the small, honest burn. "We followed a light," she said. "It was that or freeze." The sheriff laughed softly. "Stories." Ada opened the notebook. Paper whispered. She read numbers, times, wind. She read what Cole did to fingers. She read how heat came back if you were careful. The room stilled. You can't read us into liking you, the sheriff said. I'm not asking, she said. I'm telling. The old man cleared his throat. That night, he said. The storm. Yes, Ada said. That night. The sheriff leaned back. We're not judging, he said. We're deciding. Deciding what? Ada asked. Whether you belong. The word landed. Ada closed the notebook. She felt the weight of it settle. Not again. She looked at Cole. He nodded once. She looked at Eli. His eyes were wide. The bell was quiet. I don't need to belong, she said. I need to live. The sheriff's smile thinned. Then sign. The paper appeared like it had been waiting. Ada didn't touch it. She took a breath. No. A chair scraped. A man stood. She's trouble, he said. Ada turned to him. Why? He opened his mouth and closed it. The answer wasn't there. The old man stood then. He took off his glasses and cleaned them on his sleeve. I saw the light, he said. In the storm. It was in the window. The room shifted. The sheriff's eyes flicked. And, the sheriff said, and whoever puts a light up on a night like that, the old man said, is doing a thing God asks of us. It wasn't a sermon. It was a fact. The room breathed. Christmas, someone said, like a question. Ada felt it then, the thread. She pulled gently. I lit a candle, she said. I meant to. I forgot. The light was enough. The sheriff stood. Meeting's done, he said. For now. Outside, breath fogged. The lantern hummed. The town watched them leave, quieter than before. They walked home under stars. Snow began again, fine as flour. At the door, Cole paused. They'll try something else. I know. What? She smiled without humor. They always do. The try came before morning. A thud against the wall, then another. Cole was on his feet. Ada grabbed the lantern and held it low. Outside, a shape moved, then ran. The snow held the truth for a moment. Footprints heavy, sure. Cole went out and came back with a torn scrap of cloth. Him, he said, not naming. Ada nodded. She wrote it down. The next day, the store owner came to the door with a loaf. She set it down and didn't step inside. For the boy, she said. Thank you, Ada said. The owner hesitated. They say there's a paper, she said. About land. Ada met her eyes. There is. The owner nodded and left. At noon, the sheriff came alone. He didn't smile. You're stirring, he said. Ada poured water and set it to heat. I'm breathing. He glanced at the notebook on the table. Careful. Cole lifted the lantern from its hook and set it down between them. The flame leaned toward the sheriff, curious. Careful, Cole said. The sheriff's jaw worked. He looked at Eli, at the bell. Winter breaks people, he said. I don't want to break you. Then don't, Ada said. He held her gaze, then looked away. Later, he said, and it wasn't a promise this time. It was a threat that had learned caution. Night came. Ada set the lantern in the window and did not move it. She knelt by the bed and said a prayer without words. Eli slept. The bell rested. hold. Outside, the snow thickened. Somewhere, a church bell rang once. The light held. The cold learned new ways to wait. It waited in door frames and in the backs of drawers, in the pauses between footsteps. Ada felt it before she saw it. How the stove needed more wood. How breath stayed longer in the air. She set the lantern higher that night, not as a challenge, just enough to say, "Still here." Cole came in late with snow on his hat and a cut on his knuckle. He washed it without comment. Ada wrapped it anyway. He didn't thank her. He never did. He held still and let it be done. "They're moving money," he said, watching the flame. "Quiet." "From where?" "From the place that's supposed to help." She nodded. She didn't need names to understand theft. The next morning, the paper found her again. This one wore the seal heavier, pressed deep like a bruise. Ada read it at the table while Eli ate. The bell rang when he laughed at nothing. She folded the paper once, then again, neat. "What is it?" Cole asked. "They want me to leave town by Sunday," she said, "for order. And if you don't?" She didn't answer. The stove ticked. Outside, a wagon creaked by with more load than it should have carried. "Don't let them take your breath." They went to the church. Ada hadn't planned it. Her feet took her there the way a river takes leaves. The door stood open. The old man sat alone in the pews, head bowed, hands folded. "I won't ask," Ada said, standing in the aisle. He looked up. "Then I won't tell," he said. "Sit." She didn't. "They're using the papers," she said. "They always do." "Yes." "They're using the cold." "Yes." He nodded toward the window. "So are you." She smiled once. It hurt. "Is that a sin?" "No," he said. "It's a tool." She left without kneeling. Outside, the bell rang, and the sound followed her like a line drawn in chalk. At the store, the owner wouldn't meet her eyes. At the mill, the foreman handed back her note unopened. At the well, a woman whispered something that turned into a laugh when it reached the end. The squeeze took her ankles first, then her knees. Ada shortened her steps and kept moving. That night, Cole brought back a sack heavier than rabbit. He didn't say where it came from. He set it down and went to wash his hands. Ada didn't ask. She cooked what she could and fed Eli until he slept. "Sunday," Cole said. "Yes." "You won't go?" "No." He nodded. "Then we plan." They planned without paper. Cole marked lines on the table with a knife, shallow, then wiped them away. Ada wrote numbers in her head and held them there. The lantern watched. The try came before dawn, a crash against the back wall, then the sound of wood giving. Cole was up and through the door with the light low. Ada grabbed Eli and held him close. The bell rang once, sharp as a nail driven wrong. Cole came back with a breath that fogged hard. "Just noise," he said. "They want you scared." "Did it work?" He smiled without humor. "A little." They stepped outside together. The snow held the truth. Footprints heavy and careless led away toward the creek. Ada wrote them down in her head. By noon, the town had a story. Ada heard it before it reached her, how it bent around corners, how it gained weight. She heard her name with a word tied to it that did not belong. She kept walking. The sheriff found her at the edge of the street. He didn't wear his hat. "You're making it harder," he said. Harder for who? For people who want peace. Ada looked past him to where Cole stood, lantern at his side. Peace isn't quiet, she said. It's fair. He laughed. Fair, he said, tasting it. You think paper cares? I think people do. He leaned in. Not enough. She leaned back. Enough. They stared. The street held its breath. Sunday came clear and cold. The town gathered like it had for storms and weddings. Ada dressed Eli in his best, Belle tucked under wool. She took the notebook and the paper with the seal. Cole lifted the lantern and held it steady. Inside the hall, faces turned. The sheriff sat high. The paper lay on the table like a fishhook. Time, he said. Ada stepped forward. Read it, she said. He smiled. You already did. Read it, she said again. Out loud. Murmurs. Cole raised the lantern an inch. The light climbed. The sheriff cleared his throat. He read the words, slow. They sounded reasonable until they didn't. Ada waited. When he finished, she opened her notebook. She didn't raise her voice. She read times and names. She read when help went missing. She read where it went. She read the cold math of it. The room shifted with each line. That's not, the sheriff began. Ada kept reading. A man stood. My flower, he said. It was light. A woman stood. My name, she said. On a paper I never signed. The sheriff's smile cracked. This is disorder. No, Ada said. This is daylight. Cole set the lantern on the table. The flame leaned and steadied. Someone laughed, nervous. Someone else swore. The old man from the church stood and said nothing, which was enough. The sheriff slammed his hand down. Enough, he said. This ends now. He reached for the paper with the seal. Cole moved, quick and clean, and the paper slid out of reach. Careful, Cole said. The sheriff's eyes went to Eli then, to the bell. Take the boy, he said. We'll finish this. Ada stepped between. No. Hands moved. A shout. The lantern swung. Light cut faces. The room broke into motion. Stay. Cole caught an arm and turned it. A chair went over. Ada felt a hand grab her sleeve and shook it off. She stood her ground. The sheriff drew his gun. The room froze. Cole didn't move. He lifted the lantern higher. The light washed the gun, the badge, the hand that shook just a little. Put it down, Cole said. The sheriff's jaw worked. You don't belong here, he said to Ada. She looked at him. Neither does winter, she said, but it comes. A bell rang. Small, clear. Eli stood on the bench, eyes wide, hand lifted. The sound broke something. The sheriff lowered the gun a fraction. That's enough, the old man said, voice steady now. Put it down. For a moment, no one breathed. Then the gun went back into the holster. The room exhaled. The sheriff's face closed. This isn't over, he said. No, Ada said. It's begun. They left together, the light between them. Outside, snow fell again, thin and honest. The town watched, quieter now, the way it gets when it realizes it can be wrong. At the door, Cole set the lantern in the window and didn't lower it. Ada sat and shook until it passed. Eli slept, bell resting. Hold. In the night, the cold pressed its hand to the glass and withdrew. Somewhere, a church bell rang once, then again, as if counting. The winter had closed its hand. It hadn't won. The town woke different after Sunday. Not kinder, just alert. Ada felt it in the way doors opened a breath later than before, in how people stood with their weight shifted, ready to choose a side if one appeared. Snow lay thin as flour on the street, untouched where feet hesitated. Cole split wood behind the house and stacked it neat. He worked like the day would argue back. Ada watched from the window, lantern unlit now in daylight, its glass dull. Eli sat at the table tracing circles on the wood with a finger. Bell quiet. Quiet meant listening. A boy ran past the window and laughed. Another followed, then stopped and looked back at the house. He spat and ran on. Ada set water to heat and kept her hands busy. "They'll come again," Cole said when he came in. His breath steamed. "Not with papers." "With what?" Ada asked. "With people." She nodded. "People hurt worse." By noon, the hurt found them. A woman stood at the fence with her arms folded, eyes sharp. She didn't cross. She didn't speak. Two men lingered near the road, pretending to fix a wheel that didn't need fixing. Ada stepped outside anyway. She carried bread, still warm. "Morning," she said. No answer. She set the loaf on the fence rail and stepped back. "For whoever's hungry," she said, and went back inside. The bread disappeared. The woman stayed. The sheriff didn't show himself that day. That was the sign. His absence gave permission. In the afternoon, a knock came. Not hard, not soft. Ada opened the door. The store owner stood there with her hands empty. "I won't sell to you," the woman said. She spoke fast, like ripping off a bandage. "But I won't stop others." Ada nodded. "Thank you." The woman swallowed. "They're saying things." "I know. They're saying you plan to take the town's money." Ada almost smiled. "If I wanted money," she said, "I'd have signed." The woman looked past her, at Eli, at the bell. "I saw the light," she said, "that night." Ada waited. "It was low," the woman said, "like you didn't want to wake anyone." Ada's throat tightened. "That's how it should be." The woman nodded and left. Cole watched from the doorway. "That helps," he said. "It helps until it doesn't." They ate early. The sky dimmed fast. Snow began again, the kind that sticks. Ada lit the lantern and set it in the window, higher than before. Not a dare. A fact. The crowd came at dusk. Not a mob. That would have been easier. This was neighbors. Boots scuffed, voices low. A dozen at first, then more. Someone laughed, brittle. Someone else said a name and a word tied to it that made Ada's jaw set. Cole stood beside her, lantern in hand, flame steady. He didn't block the door. He didn't open it either. A man stepped forward. He was the one with the wheel. "You stirring trouble," he said. Ada met his eyes. "I'm breathing." He snorted. "We don't need you here." "Then don't come," she said. Murmurs. A woman pushed through. "You made a scene," she said. "In church." "I told the truth," Ada said. The woman laughed. Truth, she said. According to you. Ada nodded. According to paper. She held up the notebook. The lantern light caught the pages. Paper lies, the man said. Then read it, Ada said, and held it out. No one took it. The crowd leaned. Ada felt it, the way weight shifts before a fall. Stand. Cole lifted the lantern higher, not toward faces, but toward the ground between them. The light made a small, clean square. Stay there, he said, calm. The man laughed again. Or what? Or you'll see, Cole said. And that was all. A stone flew. It hit the wall and dropped. Snow puffed. Eli cried out. The bell rang sharp. Ada stepped forward. Enough, she said. Another stone came. Cole moved fast. He caught it in his hand and let it drop. The sound was small. The crowd went still. The sheriff stepped out of the dark like he'd been there all along. Hat on now. Smile back in place. Now, he said. This isn't neighborly. Ada felt cold settle in her bones. You brought them, she said. I didn't, he said lightly. People talk. You fed them, she said. He shrugged. Winter does that. Cole set the lantern down on the step and turned it so the light faced the crowd. Faces appeared, pale and uncertain. He didn't look at the sheriff. This ends, Cole said. The sheriff laughed. You don't decide that. Ada stepped between them. He doesn't, she said. We do. The sheriff's eyes slid to Eli, to the bell. Take the light down, he said. You're drawing attention. Ada didn't move. A man in the back cleared his throat. She fed me, he said. Yesterday. Another voice followed. She helped my wife. The crowd wavered. The sheriff's smile thinned. Help comes with strings, he said. Ada shook her head. It came with bread. Silence stretched. Snow fell. Someone crossed themselves. The church bell rang once, far off, and the sound traveled clean through the cold. The sheriff lifted his hands. Go home, he said. All of you. They went, slow, reluctant. The woman at the fence lingered, then nodded at Ada and left. When the street emptied, the sheriff stayed. He stepped closer, voice low. You're making enemies. I'm naming them, Ada said. He leaned in. Sunday bought you time, not safety. Cole picked up the lantern. Leave. The sheriff's gaze flicked to the flame. He stepped back. Later, he said, and this time it sounded like a promise he meant. Night deepened. Ada shook once it was quiet, then steadied. Cole set the lantern in the window and didn't lower it. They leaned, he said. They can lean back, she said. They can also fall. She nodded. So can we. They slept in turns. Ada dreamed of snow filling her mouth. She woke with the bell ringing in her ears. Outside, the light held. Morning brought a knock that wasn't a knock. It was a hand on wood, firm. Ada opened the door. The man with the wheel stood there, hat in his hands. I was wrong, he said. About you. Ada waited. They're meeting, he said. At the mill, without you. Cole appeared behind her. About what? About pushing you out, the man said. Quiet. Ada thanked him. He nodded and left. They want a vote, Cole said. Yes. Crowds like votes. They like numbers. Ada took the notebook and the paper with the seal and tucked both into her coat. Then we give them numbers. The mill smelled of oil and damp wood. The room filled fast. The sheriff stood near the back, watching. Ada stepped to the center and waited. The crowd leaned again. "We're here to decide," someone said. Ada spoke before the word could settle. "I'll be quick." She read. She didn't explain. She let numbers speak. She named dates. She named places. She didn't name people until the end. The sheriff stepped forward. "Lies," he said. Ada turned to him. "Then read mine and read yours." He hesitated. That was enough. A man raised his hand. "My flower," he said again. A woman spoke. "My paper." The room tilted. The sheriff's face hardened. "You're stirring," he said. "I'm counting," Ada said. Cole lifted the lantern and set it on a beam. The light climbed higher than before. Faces came into it. The vote went the wrong way for the sheriff. Not by much. Enough. "This isn't finished," he said. "No," Ada said. "But it started." Outside, snow fell steady. The crowd broke into pieces, talking now, arguing. The light followed Ada and Cole home. At the door, Ada stopped. "If this turns," she said, "if it turns hard." Cole nodded. "I know." She looked at Eli, asleep on her shoulder. The bell rested. "We keep the light," she said. "Yes." She set the lantern in the window, higher than ever. Not a dare. A line. The winter leaned. It didn't cross. The snow hardened overnight, crusted like a lie that's been repeated until it feels true. Ada felt it underfoot when she stepped out at dawn, the way the ground held, then gave. Cole stood by the fence, breath fogging, eyes on the road. The lantern still burned in the window, its flame a thin spine of gold against the blue morning. "They'll test it," he said. "The line," Ada said. "Yes." Eli pressed close, bell quiet, eyes tracking the road, as if it might move first. The test came small. It always does. A boy from the mill walked past and kicked the fence. Not hard enough to break it. Hard enough to hear. He didn't look back. Ada fixed the fence without comment, hammer ringing clean. Sound carries in cold air. Let it. By mid-morning, the store owner came with a sack. She set it down and stayed this time. "They're arguing," she said, "about numbers." "Numbers don't argue," Ada said. "People do." The woman nodded. "He's saying you forged." Ada didn't smile. "He would." The woman shifted. "If they ask." "Tell the truth," Ada said. The woman exhaled. "That's the problem." Cole watched her go. "They'll come harder." Ada put the notebook on the table and opened it. She didn't write. She read. Reading steadied her. The hammer fell after noon. Not wood this time. Glass. A crack like a shot. Ada turned in time to see the lantern's window shiver and hold. The glass did not break. A stone lay in the snow, dark with heat it didn't have. Eli gasped. The bell rang sharp. Ada crossed the room in 2 steps and wrapped him up, hand over the bell. "It's fine," she said. It wasn't, but it would be. Cole was already outside. He lifted the stone and looked down the street. "They ran," he said. "Left footprints." Write them, Ada said. He did, with his eyes. They came again at dusk, not as a crowd, as men with work coats and tired faces. They stood at the edge of the yard, hats off, hands visible. One stepped forward. "We don't want trouble," he said. Ada nodded. "Neither do we." "Sheriff says you're costing us," the man said. "Supplies, orders." Ada waited. "He says if you leave," the man said, "things go back." Cole lifted the lantern and held it low. The light washed boots and hems, no faces yet. "If I leave," Ada said, "Winter doesn't." A murmur moved. The man swallowed. "We're just saying." "I hear you," Ada said. "Now hear me." She took the notebook and held it open, not reading. "I'm not taking," she said. "I'm showing. If you don't want to see, don't look." The man shifted. "He's got the law." "He's got paper," Ada said. "So do I." Cole raised the lantern an inch. Faces came into it. Wary, human. "Go home," the man said to the others. And to his credit, they did. Night fell clean and cold. Ada sat at the table and shook until it passed. Cole set the lantern higher again, then stopped himself and left it where it was. "Enough. They'll move sideways now," he said. "Through who?" He didn't answer. Morning brought the sideways. The old man from the church came with his coat buttoned wrong. He sat without asking. "They're calling a hearing," he said. "County." Ada felt a hollow open in her chest. "When?" "Soon." "Where?" "Here," he said. "They'll send someone." Cole nodded. "Good." Ada blinked. "Good?" "Paper likes paper," he said. "Let it meet daylight." She nodded. "Then we prepare." Preparation looked like work. Ada went door to door with the notebook and didn't ask to come in. She stood on steps and read what applied to that house. Flour, coal, medicine. She didn't accuse. She counted. Some doors stayed shut. Some opened. Enough. At the mill, the foreman listened without laughing. "If this is true," he said. "It is," Ada said. "If it isn't, show me." He didn't. By afternoon, the sheriff found them at the fence. He was alone. That was new. "You're walking a line," he said. "I drew it," Ada said. He glanced at the lantern in the window. "You think light wins." "I think lies hate it," she said. He smiled, tired now. "County man won't like your tone." "I don't like his boots," she said. "We'll be even." Cole watched the sheriff's hands. They were empty. "You could leave," the sheriff said. "Quiet, tonight." Ada shook her head. "I'm done running." He studied her. "Winter breaks people," he said again. "It didn't break us," Ada said. He looked at Eli then, at the bell. "Children remember," he said. "They do," Ada said. "That's why I'm staying." The sheriff left without saying later. The county man arrived at dusk in a sleigh that creaked too loud. He wore a coat that hadn't seen real cold. He shook hands and smiled like it cost him nothing. Ada didn't offer him the lantern. He found it himself. They met in the hall. The town came because it always does. Ada stood with the notebook. Cole stood with the light. "Order," the county man said, and it almost worked. Ada waited until the word settled, then spoke. "I'll be brief." She read. She didn't rush. She let silence do its job. When she finished, she closed the notebook and set it down. The county man cleared his throat. "Sheriff?" The sheriff spoke well. He always had. He talked about order and winter and fear. He talked about outsiders and trouble. He did not talk about numbers. Ada waited. "Any questions?" the county man asked. A woman raised her hand. "My name," she said. "On a paper." A man stood. "My coal," he said. The county man frowned. "Sheriff?" The sheriff's smile slipped. "We'll investigate." Ada lifted the notebook. "You can now," she said. The county man held up a hand. "Enough," he said. He turned to the sheriff. "We'll audit." The word fell heavy. The room breathed. Outside, snow began again. Ada felt lightheaded. Cole set the lantern on the table. The flame leaned and steadied. The sheriff's eyes were dark. "This isn't finished," he said. "No," Ada said. "It's counted." They left together. The town watched with a different look now. Not friendly, not cruel, curious. At home, Ada set the lantern in the window and finally moved it down. Just a little. Eli slept with the bell resting. Ada knelt and said a prayer without words. Hold. Near midnight, Boots came. Not running. Walking. Cole went to the door and opened it before the knock. The man from the mill stood there, hat in hand. "I voted wrong," he said. Cole nodded. "You can vote again." The man swallowed. "They're burning papers," he said. "Behind the office." Ada felt the cold lift and settle somewhere else. "Now?" she asked. "Now." Cole lifted the lantern. Ada took her coat. Eli slept. She kissed his hair and left the bell with him this time. They walked fast. The fire glowed orange against the snow, small and desperate. The sheriff stood with two men, feeding it. He froze when the light hit him. Ada stepped forward. "Stop!" He laughed, thin. "Too late." Cole swung the lantern higher. The light caught ash lifting, paper curling. Names burned. Ada ran. She snatched a sheet from the edge and felt heat bite. She dropped it and grabbed another. Cole kicked snow. Steam hissed. The fire died. The sheriff reached for his gun. Cole was faster. He didn't draw. He stepped in, shoulder low, and took the space. The sheriff stumbled back. "Enough," Ada said. The county man's sleigh bells rang. He came running, breath hard. He saw the fire. He saw the paper in Ada's hands, half burned but legible. The sheriff's shoulders sagged. "It's done," the county man said. The night watched. Snow fell honest. The lantern burned steady. Back home, Ada washed her burned fingers and didn't cry. Cole set the lantern in the window and didn't move it. "They won't cross," he said. "Not tonight," Ada said. She sat and shook until it passed. Eli slept, bell quiet. Stay. Outside, the winter leaned against the glass and learned a new thing. Light doesn't move for it. Morning came thin and sharp, the kind that shows you everything you didn't want to see. Smoke still clung to the back of the office. Gray fingers smeared across the snow. Ada stood with her coat pulled tight. Burned pages folded against her chest like a wound that wouldn't close. Cole held the lantern low. though the sun was up. Habit, not fear. The county man spoke quietly to the sheriff. Words fell and didn't land. When the sheriff turned, his face had learned a new stiffness. He did not look at Ada. "Until this is sorted," the county man said, "you're relieved." The word relieved rang hollow. The town breathed out, then held it again. Ada went home. She washed the soot from her hands and scrubbed until her fingers ached. Eli watched from the doorway, bell quiet. She smiled at him and it cost her. "They won't come today," Cole said. "They will tomorrow." "Yes." The truth settled like frost. Victory doesn't warm you. It just stops the bleeding. By noon, the street learned how to look at her. People nodded now. Some smiled. One woman brought a pot of soup and stayed to stir it like she had business there. Another man tipped his hat and didn't hurry away. The line held. Then the line moved. A boy ran up the road and stopped short when he saw the lantern in the window. He swallowed and pointed back the way he'd come. "They're saying," he said, breathless. "They're saying you took money." Ada felt the old heat rise. "Who's saying?" He shrugged. "Everybody." Cole set the lantern down and went to the fence. "That's the sideways," he said. "Yes." The sideways spreads because it's easy. It doesn't need proof. It just needs mouths. They went out again, Ada and Cole, notebook and light. At the store, the owner met them with arms crossed. "They say you kept what you found," the woman said. "Found?" Ada asked. "After the fire." Ada opened the notebook. She didn't read. She turned it around. "Count with me," she said. The owner hesitated, then leaned in. They counted. The woman's face changed. Not all at once, piece by piece. "I'll say so," the owner said. "Say it loud," Ada said. At the well, a man laughed. "Paper tricks," he said. Ada held the half-burned sheet up to the sun. The ink showed through, stubborn. "Names," she said. "Yours is here." The laugh died. At the church steps, the old man waited. He took the page and nodded. "This will do," he said. "Will it?" Ada asked. He smiled without humor. "It will have to." By afternoon, the sheriff's office stood empty. The door hung open, wind worrying it. Papers lay where they'd fallen. Ada felt a pang she didn't expect. Not pity. Something like it. "They'll fill the space," Cole said. "With who?" "With someone who smiles better." She nodded. "Then we don't stop." The county man sent for her. She went alone. Cole stayed back with Eli and the lantern. Inside, the county man removed his gloves. His hands were soft. "You've done a service," he said. "I counted," Ada said. "Yes," he said. "And you made noise." "I lit a light." He smiled thin. "Lights attract. So do fires." He leaned back. "There will be an inquiry, forms, statements." "Fine." "And after," he said, "you should consider leaving. It would be easier." "For who?" Ada asked. "For everyone." She shook her head. "No." He sighed. "You're stubborn. I'm still here." He looked at her like he might saw more, then didn't. "Very well," he said. "We'll be in touch." Outside, the day had teeth. Ada walked home slow. She wanted to see who would meet her eyes. The sideways came with dusk. A man shouted from across the street, words tangled and mean. Someone else laughed. A stone skittered and stopped short. The lantern stayed lit. Cole met her at the door. "They're testing again." "Yes." This time, Ada didn't step out. She took the notebook and wrote everything down. Names, times, weather. The bell rang once when Eli shifted in his sleep. Night deepened. The crowd didn't come. That was worse. Near midnight, a knock came. 1, 2, pause. Ada opened the door. The man from the mill stood there, eyes hollow. "They're saying you bribed the county man," he said. "They're saying he took your side for money." Ada closed her eyes. Of course. Cole leaned against the frame. "Who's saying?" The man swallowed. "The sheriff's cousin." Ada nodded. "Where?" "By the tracks." They went. The lantern cut the dark into pieces. By the tracks, a small knot of men stood around a fire that shouldn't have been there. The sheriff's cousin smiled wide when he saw the light. "Look who brings daylight," he said. Ada stepped forward. "Say it again," she said. "Slow." He laughed. "You paid your way." Ada held up the notebook. "I counted my way." He spat. "Same thing." Cole lifted the lantern. Faces came into it. One man looked away. Another shifted. Ada spoke, calm. "You want to talk money," she said. "Then talk amounts." Silence. "How much?" she asked. The cousin's smile faltered. "Doesn't matter." "It does," Ada said. "It always does." She opened the notebook and read one line. "Coal shipment," she said. "Short by half." The cousin cursed. "Lies." "Count with me," Ada said. He didn't. A man behind him spoke. "It was light," he said. Another nodded. "Mine too." The fire crackled. Snow fell into it and hissed. The cousin's face hardened. He reached inside his coat. Cole moved, faster than thought, and the space disappeared. The cousin stumbled back, hand empty. "Enough," Ada said. Footsteps sounded. The county man appeared with 2 deputies, breath steaming. He took in the scene, the fire, the lantern, the notebook. "This ends," he said. "Yes," Ada said. The cousin was taken. The fire died. The tracks went quiet. Back home, Ada set the lantern down and leaned against the wall until the room steadied. Cole poured water and set it in her hands. She drank. "They're running out," he said. "Of lies? Of places to put them." She nodded. "What happens when they do?" "They try to break something." She looked at Eli sleeping, Belle resting. "They'll try us." "Yes." Morning came with a letter, official and stiff. The sheriff was suspended pending charges. An interim would be appointed. The county man's name sat at the bottom like a weight. Ada folded the letter and put it away. The interim arrived at noon. A young man with tired eyes and no smile. He shook Ada's hand and didn't look at the lantern. "I'm here to keep order," he said. Ada nodded. "So am I." He blinked. "That's not how it works." She smiled, thin. "It is now." He studied her. "We'll see." The town watched them shake hands and murmured. Ada felt the line shift again, a hair's breadth. By evening, the store owner came with flour. On credit, she said. Fair, fair, Ada said. The old man brought candles. For Christmas, said. Ada took one and set it by the window, beside the lantern. She lit it. The flame wavered, then steadied. Thank you. The bell rang soft. Eli smiled in his sleep. Outside, the winter pressed its face to the glass and saw two lights now, not one. It leaned. It learned. The crowd leaned too, unsure which way to fall. Ada sat at the table and wrote. Cole stood by the window and watched. They did not move the light. The quiet came wrong. It settled too neatly, like snow smoothed by a hand that meant to hide tracks. Ada felt it when she woke. The house holding its breath. The street outside not quite daring to move. The lantern still burned in the window beside the candle. Two lights sharing the same small square of glass. Eli slept on his side. Bell tucked under wool. Its sound swallowed by morning. Cole stood at the door with his coat on, not reaching for the latch. They're waiting, he said. For what? Ada asked. For us to think it's over. She nodded. Victory teaches people to rest. Winter punishes them for it. By mid-morning, the interim sheriff had learned the shape of his desk. He walked the street once, nodded at the right people, didn't look at the lantern. The town watched him watching them. Ada let him pass without comment. The first fire was small, a trash barrel behind the mill, smoke curling lazy into the cold. Someone laughed and stamped it out. No harm. The second was a shed roof singed near the tracks. The third came closer. Hay piled too tight behind a fence. Flame licking up and dying when it met snow. They're measuring, Cole said. Ada wrote it down. The note came with a boy this time. He stood at the gate, hat in hand, eyes on the ground. They say tonight, he said. They say to keep inside. Who says? Ada asked. He shrugged. You know. She did. Cole took the lantern down and trimmed the wick. We won't hide, he said. No, Ada said. We won't. She dressed Eli in layers and tied the bell under his coat again. She set the notebook in her pocket. She lit the candle fresh and let it burn low. Outside, clouds stacked like bad news. Dusk came early. The town dimmed. Doors shut. Windows went blind. The quiet thickened. The first shout came from the end of the street. Not words. Just noise. Boots followed, then laughter. Ada stepped onto the porch with Cole beside her, lantern held low. The light fell on the boards and climbed their legs, not their faces. Go home, Cole said. A man stepped forward, shadowed. We are home, he said. Ada felt the cold bite her teeth. So are we. A bottle flew. It broke against the fence, glass skittering like ice. Eli gasped. The bell rang once, sharp. Ada stepped down. Enough, she said. Another shout. A stone. Cole moved and the stone dropped harmlessly. The crowd leaned closer, hungry now. Don't run. A shape broke from the side, torch lifted. Flame flared and the night answered. Ada felt her heart slam. Cole lunged. Snow hissed. The torch died in his hand. He shoved the man back and the man fell hard, breath gone. The interim sheriff arrived running, coat flapping, deputies behind him. Stop! He shouted, and for a second the word worked. Ada stood in the lantern light and let it find her face. So, "This ends now," she said. The sheriff blinked. "Go inside," he said to her. "No," she said. He hesitated. That was the crack. A man in the back spoke. "We're cold," he said. "We're scared." "So am I," Ada said. "That's not an excuse." Another voice, rough. "You brought this." Ada shook her head. "Winter brought this. Lies fed it." The interim sheriff raised his hands. "Enough," he said again, louder. "Anyone with a torch goes to jail." A torch dropped, then another. Boots shifted. The crowd thinned, not fast, but enough. When it was over, the street looked bruised. Snow melted in ugly patches. Ada's knees shook. Cole caught her elbow. Inside, Eli cried hard, bell ringing wild. Ada held him until the sound slowed and stopped. She sat on the floor and let the shaking come. "I can't do this forever." Cole set the lantern back in the window and didn't lower it. "They crossed," he said. "Yes," Ada said, "and failed. They'll try another way." "Quieter," she said. "Yes." The quieter way came with paper. Morning brought an official notice slid under the door, edges sharp. Ada read it at the table while Eli ate. Her jaw set. "They're seizing," she said. "On what?" Cole asked. "On everything," she said. "Pending." He nodded. "They want you gone without a fight. They want me to choose." She folded the paper and tucked it into the notebook. "Then I choose loud." They went to the interim sheriff. He read the notice and swore under his breath. "This didn't come from me," he said. "From who?" Ada asked. "County," he said. "Not the man you met." Ada nodded. "There's always another desk." He looked tired. "I can slow it." "Do," she said. "I'll speed it." She walked the town again, notebook open, lantern unlit in daylight. She knocked on doors that had closed before. Some opened now. Some didn't. She read what mattered and left the rest. At the store, the owner pressed her lips thin. "They're threatening my license," she said. Ada nodded. "Say it out loud." The woman shook her head. "I can't." "You can," Ada said. "Later is worse." At the mill, the foreman listened, eyes flicking to the door. "They'll shut us down," he said. "They already are," Ada said. By afternoon, the town had learned a new word, seizure. It moved like smoke. The county man sent for her again. She went alone. Cole stayed back and watched the window. Inside, the county man did not smile. "You're making this expensive," he said. Ada set the notebook down. "You're making it obvious." He leaned forward. "I can end this," he said. "Tonight. You leave. Quiet." "And then?" Ada asked. "Then it goes away." She shook her head. "It doesn't." He studied her. "You're stubborn." "I'm still here." He sighed. "You'll lose." Ada stood. "Count it," she said. "If I lose, count it." Outside, the street buzzed. Word had moved ahead of her. She walked home through eyes that didn't hide now. "They're seizing," someone said. "They can't," someone else said. "They will," a third said. At the door, Cole met her. "They're coming tonight," he said. "Yes. They'll bring paper." They always do. Night fell heavy. Ada lit the lantern and the candle and set them together. She dressed Eli and laid him down, bell tucked. She kissed his hair and tasted salt. Please. The knock came hard, not polite now. Ada opened the door. Deputies stood there with papers in hand. The interim sheriff hovered behind them, jaw tight. "We're here to execute," a deputy said. Ada took the paper and read it. She didn't argue. She stepped aside. "Come in," she said. They hesitated. The lantern burned. The candle held. Inside, the deputies looked at the room, clean, small, lived in. One shifted his weight. The interim sheriff cleared his throat. "We'll start with inventory," the deputy said. Ada nodded. "I already did." She opened the notebook and read. Names, times, values. The deputies exchanged a look. "County will want," one began. "County will get," Ada said. "It's here." Outside, voices gathered. The crowd had come again, quieter, curious. The lantern light spilled out and touched faces. A man spoke. "You taking her house?" The deputy hesitated. Another voice. "On Christmas?" Silence fell, heavy as snow. The interim sheriff stepped forward. "Stand down," he said. The deputy stiffened. "Sir." "Stand down," the sheriff said again. The deputy looked at the crowd, at the lantern, at the candle. He folded the paper. "This isn't finished," he said. "No," Ada said. "It's seen." They left. The crowd breathed. Someone clapped once, then stopped, embarrassed. Inside, Ada leaned against the wall until the room steadied. Cole set the lantern in the window and finally lowered it a notch. "They tried to take it," he said. "They failed," she said. "For now." "Yes." She sat and wrote until her hand cramped. Eli slept. The bell rested. Outside, the winter shifted its weight and found no door open. It pressed and withdrew. The quiet burned, but it held. Hold. Snow fell straight down, heavy and quiet, the kind that makes sound feel like a mistake. Ada stood at the window and watched it stack, one clean layer over another. The lantern burned beside the glass. No candle tonight. One light was enough. Cole came in from the yard with cold in his beard and a cut on his knuckle. He washed it without comment. Ada wrapped it anyway. He let her. "They're done with paper," he said. "Yes," she said. "Now they'll buy." The knock came before noon. Not the sheriff, not a deputy. A man Ada didn't know, coat too clean, gloves too fine. He smiled like he'd practiced in a mirror. "I represent interests," he said. "I don't," Ada said. He laid a box on the table and opened it. Money looked back at them, dull and heavy, the kind that smells like sleep. "You leave tonight," he said. "Quiet." Ada didn't touch it. And then? Then the town breathes. Cole leaned against the wall, still as a post. "If she says no?" The man's smile thinned. "Then staying gets expensive." Ada closed the box. The sound was small, final. "It already is." The man watched her longer this time. "You're brave." "No," she said. "I'm here." He left without a threat. That was the threat. By afternoon, the cost showed. The store owner wouldn't sell. The mill closed early. A woman came to the door with a baby wrapped wrong for the cold, and no coal left. "I can't pay," the woman said. Ada shook her head. "Sit." She boiled water, counted breaths. Eli laughed at the baby's fingers, and the bell rang soft. The lantern hummed. Word moved faster than fear when it was fed. By dusk, there were 3 more. Sharing thins you. It also sharpens you. Cole split wood until his shoulders burned. He stacked neat. He didn't look at the street. "They'll hit the weak," he said. "Then we stand there," Ada said. Night brought the knock again. 3 hard raps. The clean man was back, 2 others with him. One reached for the lantern. Cole moved first. The lantern swung and light cut the room. The man stumbled back, surprised. "Enough," Ada said. The clean man's eyes went cold. "You can't stop winter." "No," Cole said. "But we can stop you." They left with their box. The door closed. The cold rushed in and out like it had business. Ada sat. Her hands shook now. Cole poured water and pressed it into them. She drank. Morning proved them right. Coal taken. Orders canceled. A shed burned small and mean behind a house near the tracks. Snow hissed. The fire died. The house stood. "Accident," someone said. "No," Ada said. By noon, the interim sheriff came, face gray. "I can't stop this." "Then count," Ada said. He nodded and left. The county man arrived after dark, hat off this time. He looked tired. "You're forcing my hand." "Good," Ada said. "There will be consequences." "Yes," she said. "There always are." He hesitated. Outside, voices gathered. He heard them. "What do you want?" he asked. Ada closed the notebook. "An audit," she said. "Public." He laughed once. It didn't stick. "Tonight." The hall filled fast. Too fast. Ada stood with the notebook. Cole stood with the light. The county man spoke about process. Ada waited. When it was her turn, she didn't read everything. She read enough. Routes, shortages, fires. She named the box. The clean man stood. "Lies." Ada looked at him. "Open it." He didn't. Cole lifted the lantern. The light climbed. Faces came into it, wary and human. A man stepped forward and opened the box. Money gleamed. Silence fell like snow. "That's evidence," the interim sheriff said. The clean man lunged. Cole moved. Space vanished. The man hit the floor and stayed there. "Enough," the county man said, voice finally steady. "Take it." They took the box. They took names. They took the man. Outside, the crowd breathed like it had been underwater. Someone laughed, shaky. Someone cried. At home, Ada set the lantern in the window and blew out the rest of the lights. She sat until the shaking passed. Eli slept, bell resting. "Stay." Outside, winter pressed its hand to the glass and found nothing to take. The night after the audit didn't feel like victory. It felt like waiting for the other boot to fall. Ada knew that kind of quiet. It settled too carefully, like a chair placed where someone planned to sit for a long time. Snow kept falling, steady now, no wind. The lantern burned alone in the window, its light thin but stubborn. Eli slept with his cheek against the wall, Belle tucked under his shirt. Cole stayed up, chair tilted back, eyes on the dark beyond the glass. "They won't come fast," he said. "They'll come right." Ada nodded. Crowds don't rush when they think they're right. Morning brought faces, not shouting, not stones, faces at a distance watching to see which way the day would lean. Ada stepped out anyway, boots crunching loud in the cold. She carried the notebook but didn't open it. A man cleared his throat. "County took him," he said, meaning the clean man. "Yes," Ada said. "And the sheriff?" "Still waiting," she said. The man shifted his weight. "People are asking what happens next." Ada looked around. "That depends on what you choose." Some nodded. Some didn't. No one laughed. By noon, the interim sheriff returned with 2 deputies. He didn't knock. He took his hat off in his hands. "They're reinstating him," he said. "Pending." Ada felt the weight of the word settle. "Pending what?" "Pending calm," he said. "They want this quiet." Cole stepped forward. "Quiet for who?" The sheriff didn't answer. He didn't need to. The news moved faster than the snow. By afternoon, the crowd gathered without being called. Not angry, curious, dangerous in a different way. Ada stood on the porch, lantern at her feet, light spilling low. The sheriff stepped into the space between her and the people. He raised his hands. "We're here to restore order." Ada spoke before the word could finish settling. "Order doesn't come back the way it left." Murmurs moved. A woman spoke. "We don't want trouble." "No one does," Ada said. "But we keep choosing it." A man in the back laughed, brittle. "You like hearing yourself talk." Ada met his eyes. "I like hearing the truth." The sheriff held up a paper. "This ends tonight," he said. "You leave town by morning." The word leave hit hard. Eli stirred. The bell rang, soft. Cole's jaw tightened. He didn't move. Ada stepped down into the snow. "Read it," she said. The sheriff frowned. "It's lawful." "Read it," she said again. He did. Words fell clean and wrong. When he finished, Ada opened the notebook. She didn't read numbers this time. She read names. She read the names of people who had come to her door hungry. She read the names of those whose coal had gone missing. She read the name of the man whose shed burned first. A man stepped forward. "That wasn't her," he said. "That was them." Another voice followed. "They tried to buy her." The crowd leaned. Ada felt it shift, subtle and dangerous. The sheriff's voice hardened. "This isn't a debate." "It is," Ada said. "You made it one." He reached for his gun. The room, the street, froze. Cole moved, not fast, just sure. He stepped into the line between the gun and Ada. He didn't touch anything. "Don't," he said. The sheriff hesitated. The hesitation mattered. The interim sheriff pushed through the crowd. "Enough," he said, louder than before. "This goes to county." The sheriff turned on him. "Stand down." "No," the interim said. "You're done." The word cracked something. The crowd breathed. The sheriff looked around, counting faces. He saw fewer than he expected. He lowered his hand. "This isn't over," he said. "No," Ada said, "but you're finished." The sheriff backed away. The deputies followed. The crowd didn't cheer. They just stood, absorbing the fact that they'd chosen. Snow fell thicker. Someone crossed themselves. Someone else wiped their eyes, embarrassed. A woman stepped forward, holding a loaf. "For the boy," she said. Ada took it. "Thank you." More followed. Not gifts, admissions. "I was wrong. I didn't speak when I should have. I believed him." Ada listened. She didn't absolve. She didn't accuse. She nodded. That night, the town didn't gather. Doors closed softly. Fires burned steady. The lantern stayed lit, lower now. Not a challenge, an answer. Cole sat at the table and finally took off his coat. "They chose," he said. "For now," Ada said. "That's all anyone ever gets." She sat and wrote until her hand cramped. She wrote what had happened and what hadn't. She wrote the names of those who stood and those who didn't. Not for revenge, for memory. Eli woke and padded into the room, eyes heavy. "Ma," he said, "are we leaving?" Ada knelt and held his face in her hands. "No," she said. "We're staying." He nodded, trusting. The bell rested against her palm, warm. Stay. Outside, winter pressed close and found the town holding its ground. Snow came thin that morning, like a hand easing off. Ada noticed it first in the sound, how the street let footsteps exist again. The lantern still burned in the window, lower now, its flame steady without asking to be seen. Eli slept with the bell resting against his chest, the metal warm from skin. The sheriff did not return. By noon, the county man sent a note, folded clean. It said the word resolved twice and meant it once. An interim would stay, accounts would be settled, properties returned. Ada read it, then set it aside. Paper had learned its place. People came in ones and twos, not with demands, with work. A man fixed the fence without being asked. A woman brought coal and left it stacked neat. The store owner reopened her ledger and nodded at Ada across the counter, like they'd always done it this way. The old man from the church brought candles and said nothing. Ada lit one and let it burn beside the lantern until the wick shortened itself. Cole split wood and laughed once when the axe bit clean. The sound surprised them both. He leaned the handle against the wall and stood with his hands on his hips, looking at the house as if seeing it for the first time. "It'll be quiet," he said. "For a while," Ada said. "That's enough." They ate at the table with the window cracked, the cold kept polite. Eli set the bell down on the sill and watched it catch the light. He turned it once, slow, listening to the small truth inside. "Ma," he said, "will the light stay?" Ada thought of storms and paper and crowds. She thought of the first night, the white that takes. "Yes," she said, "as long as someone needs it." In the afternoon, a woman arrived with a baby wrapped too thin. Ada took them in without looking to see who noticed. She boiled water. She counted breaths. The lantern hummed. Outside, a man stopped, watched, then kept walking. The street didn't lean. At dusk, Cole set a second hook by the window, not for another lantern, just in case. He didn't say why. Ada understood. Just in case is how you live after winter. They stood together when night fell. The candle burned down and went out on its own. The lantern stayed. Ada lowered it one notch, not because she was afraid, but because she could. Thank you. Eli slept early. Ada wrote one last line in the notebook and closed it. She put it away, not hidden, just done. Cole washed his hands and dried them slow. Outside, the snow learned how to stop. The town breathed like it meant to keep doing so. Ada set the lantern in the window and turned away. The light remained. Not a challenge now. Not a warning. An invitation. Quiet and exact. Winter pressed close and did not enter. The bell did not ring. The night held.